What's up, my Peter Bros? Maine-iac here with Week 8 Power Rankings of the NFL, and we're going to try something new. We're going to stay at this screen with I'm going to add some custom text overlays, so we should see how it goes, see if this series does start kicking off a little bit better, and I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys disagree or agree, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know who you would want somewhere else. Let's start a discussion about this, because I do love football talk. And you guys, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you don't burn me too much for these power rankings. At number 32, we have the Cleveland Browns with one of honestly, the worst quarterback situations I have ever seen. DeShone Kizer's a rookie on a bad team. Yes, I understand that. I understand he's struggling, but you can't pull him again and again and bench him again and again and expect him to have any resemblance of a complete quarterback. You gotta have him face the tough times, because if you look at Peyton Manning, if you look at Troy Aikman, they struggled their rookie year, but they bounced back. But I don't think Kizer has the system or confidence in himself anymore to do it. Also, nod to Joe Thomas, great career. Is this career ending? I don't think so, but 10,300 plus consecutive snaps. We will never have anybody even come close to that ever again. Insane record. Wanted to pay respect to that. At number 31, we have the 49ers. If the Browns were playing somewhat decent, we would probably have moved the 49ers down to the last spot, but 5 straight games or 6 straight games, I believe, losing by 3 points or less or something like that. Insane. But then to get blown out by the Cowboys, granted, I can understand that. Foster got pulled, I believe, due to an injury in the first quarter or something like that. And Ezekiel Elliott is hard to contain when you don't have a defense to do it. Niners didn't have a defense to do it, and their offense, Bethard played terribly, but then again, it's the 49ers. I think they're still a year or two away, so they're at number 31. At number 30, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They got absolutely destroyed by the Jacksonville Jaguars this past week. 10 sacks, I believe, again for the second time this season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their offensive line is terrible. Their running back situation, although Marlon Mack shows a lot of promise, behind that offensive line, it's non-existent. T.Y. Hilton thrown his offensive line under the bus, even though he didn't really play his best either, and not to mention the defense. The only reason why they're above the 49ers and Browns right now is they actually have a couple wins against the 49ers and Browns. Against everybody else, not even close. I struggled with this next one here. I have the Arizona Cardinals at number 29. They dropped 6 spots, as you can see below. Carson Palmer's broken arm. I do not believe Drew Stanton whatsoever can lead this Cardinals team at all. They have no offensive line play whatsoever. Adrian Peterson looks like a flash in the pan this year. He played terribly in London, although that might be a side effect of London, so I'll put that to the side. But the defense is playing terribly, besides Patrick Peterson. But yeah, main reason, Carson Palmer, broken arm. I can't have him higher. At number 28, it's kind of ironic to put them up here and have them gain 2 spots. The Giants, who I believe are 1-6. Reason why I moved them up 2 spots is their defense is gonna carry them if they win whatsoever. With no Brandon Marshall, Odell for the rest of the year, Sterling Shepard's getting kind of healthy, so that should provide some cushion for offense. Evan Ingram is proven to be is probably the best rookie tight end in the league right now. He's got a really good potential career. Although I believe, personally for me, I wouldn't put him at tight end. He is kind of a hybrid. I'd put him more at receiver, since you don't really use him at blocking, and then open up more tight end sets with him and Shepard at wide receiver. I believe that would open up more offensive capabilities for the Giants. But I'm not really that much of a football like guru, so who knows. At number 27, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their offense is really concerning. Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson are playing well. Jameis Winston's wildly inconsistent. Doug Martin I do like, though. The thing that worries me about Tampa Bay, and that has worried me all year, is their defense and the injuries, and now you have defensive players that are getting mad that they're not playing enough, which is going to cause distrust and unrest in the locker room. So that situation unfolding, maybe they trade some of those players away, try to get some younger players. That's a possibility because I think their season right now is shot, especially with no bye week coming up. At number 26, we have the Baltimore Ravens, a very disappointing team, if not for injury maybe. Jeremy Maclin was out. Mike Wallace suffered a concussion on a hit that later ended up getting fined. Flacco's playing terribly. I believe he's either in his last year or one of his last 2 years. He might be out of gas, or he might just be like out of motivation because of his terrible teams. Their defense is playing okay, so they might be able to bounce back, but they need their offense to get on track. They dropped 2 spots to 26. At number 25, we have the New York Jets. They are 3-4, which isn't too terrible, but I have them at 25 because against the Dolphins, backup quarterback, they were playing well against Jay Cutler. The Jets pulled off some plays I didn't think they were really capable of, but they collapsed again. They had a lead against the Patriots and lost it. They had a lead against the Dolphins and lost it. I don't know if it's just because of the division play or what inconsistencies. I wish they would have a more stable rotation at running back either. Are you going to be primarily Forte, primarily Powell, or primarily McGuire? Mixing them all in all the time, I don't think any of them really get in a rhythm, and I believe that hurts the team. Their defense, though, their defensive line, playing great. Jamal Adams and May, a little bit too undisciplined right now, but they'll get a lot better a lot better later on in the season. At number 24, we have the Green Bay Packers. People thought Brett Hundley would fill in for Aaron Rodgers well, throw a couple touchdowns so Packers would win, but with that good offense, with those good running backs, that's a good stable of running backs right there with Jones, Montgomery, but Hundley couldn't do anything. He rushed for a touchdown, but he couldn't really do anything else. So that's very concerning for me. The Packers dropped 7 spots to 24. With Brett Hundley at quarterback, I don't think the Packers can win more than 1 or 2 games until Rodgers gets back. At number 23, we have the Chicago Bears. They go up 4 spots. They were previously 27. Now, one reason they go up, their offense is looking horrible, at least at quarterback and wide receiver. Maybe they make a trade, maybe not, because they're still in the division race. Jordan Howard playing great. Their defense is playing amazing. They made Cam Newton look like last year Cam Newton. Eddie Jackson, great young rookie, might win Defensive Rookie of the Year if he keeps playing like this. 2 defensive touchdowns to 75-plus yards. I have to give that rookie some nod. I have to give that defense some credit, so I jump him up a little bit. At number 22, we have the Tennessee Titans. I dropped them a spot because they struggled so badly in their overtime win versus the Cleveland Browns. Yes, they're coming off a win, but Delaney Walker got injured. Marcus Mariota's playing inconsistently, and their defense almost lost to the Browns. I mean, come on. At number 21, we have the Oakland Raiders. I was tempted to move them up more than this, but they haven't shown me enough to move up that far. They did move up 4 spots after their upset win over the Chiefs, but I want to see more consistency from their running back play. I believe Marshawn Lynch should be demoted to the backup. Jalen Richards and DeAndre, I believe, are playing really good football. Amari Cooper bounced back in a good way against a good Chiefs defense. But I want to see more consistency from Derek Carr before I move him up too far. But 21 is still a decently good place considering how even this league looks this year and how up and down it is every single week. Now, first team in the top 20, we have the San Diego Chargers coming off a 3-game win streak, which I never thought they would accomplish, but they have, and they're looking really solid. Shut out the Broncos. Scored, I believe, 2 offensive touchdowns against the Broncos, which is impressive in itself. Scored a punt return touchdown, which is also really well. Phillip Rivers is playing solid. Williams is playing solid. If their defense can step up a little bit better than run defense, this could be a division-winning team, but we'll have to see in weeks to come. They're up 6 spots at number 20. At number 19, even though the Redskins are coming off a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best teams in the league, I'm not going to move them. They're staying right where they are at 19. Their offense played, well, Cousins played well. until they fell behind too far. Their defense played okay, although that one play where Carson Wentz was sacked, but somehow none of them could take him down, that is concerning. But they do stay at number 19. At number 18, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Same situation, I believe, as the Washington Redskins. They're coming off a tough loss, but to a really good team, so I'm not really going to punish them too much for it. AJ Green's starting to look like he's in a rhythm. One thing that does concern me is if there's going to be any locker room troubles with Joe Mixon complaining about his touches, because I feel like he's already comparing himself to Le'Veon Bell, but he forgets that Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill are a good pair of running backs. They've been a good pair of running backs for the Bengals for the last couple of years. And Joe Mixon hasn't really done a ton to take away their roles quite yet. He might, but he hasn't yet. And I'm looking for John Ross to step up when he gets healthy for the Bengals. This could put him in a wild card berth, so it should be interesting to see. At number 17, we have the Miami Dolphins moving up 3 spots. They are 4-2, but Jay Cutler's inconsistent play and injury does concern me a little bit. How good can Matt Moore do in a fill-in role? He threw an interception early in his relief appearance last week, but did come back and beat the Jets. But, like I said before, they are the Jets, so I do move them up. The top 16 teams, the funny thing about them is any one of them can be any other team on any given day. But I believe, like, all these teams above the Dolphins, I believe, can beat the Dolphins. But I'm not saying the Dolphins would be an underdog. It's a little weird situation there. At number 16, now, this isn't a diss against the next couple teams, but at number 16, we have the Dallas Cowboys dropping a spot. They are coming off a dominant win against the San Francisco 49ers, but that is a team that is a no offense team. So I really want to see how the Cowboys defense is tested before I move them up too far, because like I said, all these teams are really good, and trust me, the Cowboys will probably end up moving up if their defense can at least hold it together. Now at number 15, I felt a pang in my heart of misery putting the Jags at number 15 after a 10-sack performance, but it's against the Forest Colts offense with the line and everything. So it's like quality of win. Where does this rank? It's like beating the Browns. It's like beating the 0-16 Lions. It doesn't really rank too highly on my palate. It's like eating cardboard. But the Jaguars are a surprising team. Fournette was out and they still won. I want to see Fournette get healthy. They are on a bye week. But I want to see Blake Bortles be more consistent. That's what I always want to see. I caution putting them up any further until I see more consistency from Bortles. But if their defense keeps playing like this, I'm going to have no choice but to move them up. At number 14, we have the Denver Broncos dropping 7 spots. The only thing holding them up in the top half of the league right now is their defense. Still playing really well. Haven't heard as much from Von Miller this year, but with how much their offense has been struggling, it's been hard. Trevor Siemian, or I believe their Vance Joseph said, it's not a quarterback issue, but it is. Trevor Siemian's playing bad football. He started out well, but once he started taking hits and started losing confidence, it like snowballed, and now he's making rookie mistakes. They don't really have a solid backup quarterback issue, so Deion Sanders, the Hall of Fame corner, one of the best corners in the game, wants them to trade for Eli, which honestly to me wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because you could maybe say trade the New York Giants a Paxton Lynch and maybe a Devontae Booker or something like that. Maybe they'd bite. Maybe a draft pick as well, because if the Broncos want to compete for the division, they either need to make a change at quarterback or they need vastly superior play. At number 13, we have the Detroit Lions dropping 5 spots. Not only are they coming off a tough stretch of games where they've played poorly, Matthew Stafford being inconsistent, not that inconsistent, but inconsistent. Their defense has been struggling, receivers have been hurt, Amir Abdullah has been kind of ghosting a little bit lately, but they're going into a tougher stretch of games where they kick off this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So consistency mainly is their issue. I gave them more credit when they almost beat the Falcons, but looking at what the Falcons have become, I'm starting to question that quality of loss. Like, you lost, but you kind of lost to a bad team. So it's I drop them 5 spots to 13. They're gonna have to show some more consistency. Speaking of consistency issues, a lot of teams have them this year. Like I said, it's really up and down. I had the Panthers dropping 6 spots to number 12. Cam Newton, 3 turnovers, played terribly. The Panthers scored 3 points. Their defense held, honestly, the Bears to three offensive points, but they couldn't capitalize whatsoever. Really concerning when you're in a division against the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Saints. So I'm hoping to see more Cam, like more of the Cam that faced the Patriots. But if he gets in a funk like he did last year, there might not be any bouncing back, and he might be dropping a lot quicker than expected. And dropping out of the top 10, the Atlanta Falcons, after back-to-back weeks of giving up leads and losing, we have the Falcons getting decimated by the New England Patriots. And what I mean by that is the Patriots didn't really stop them, but the terrible play calling, terribly inconsistent not running back play, but terribly inconsistent play overall. They didn't get a touchdown until garbage time. So if you think about the quality play, that game was 23-0, which does concern me. I think Sarkisian is the issue. I believe they should make a change. I don't know what they would do. Right now is probably not the time, though. I think they should give it to the end of the year, and if the Falcons end up like 5-11, 6-10, they need to fire Sarkisian immediately and cut off the tumor that is his terrible play calling, because he should have never been hired in the first place. Number 10, staying even, the Houston Texans. Great defense, even with a good defense, I should say, without J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless. They play solid football. They're coached really well by a legendary New England Patriots linebacker and Mike Vrabel. Their wide receivers, Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, one of the most lethal 1-2 punches in the league. Very underrated Will Fuller is also as well, when he's healthy. Deshaun Watson is playing crazy. Lamar Miller is providing that little boost that they need. Really good team, facing a tough Seattle Seahawks team this week. So if they win, they definitely deserve a move up, and they're definitely going to get it. At number 9, we have the Minnesota Vikings gaining 4 spots. One of the bigger boosts of the week. Now, the quarterback play, questionable at best. Running back play, though, stellar. Not only did they lose their star rookie in Dalvin Cook, who was playing amazing, they then had Jerick McKinnon playing amazing, but then after he stumbled a little bit, Latavius Murray playing amazing, scoring his first touchdown as a Viking. They have, when all healthy, they have a stable of 3 running backs that could compete as the best stable in the league. They have great wide receivers in Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Their defense is playing superb, even though they're going to be dealing with suspension this week. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is their quarterback issues. When all healthy, who's going to start, Bradford, Bridgewater, or Keenum? I don't think Keenum's a long-term solution. I believe he does provide a good, 6-8 week stretch of, hey, get healthy, I can fill in for that long. If their defense wasn't this good, I'd be really concerned, but their defense does fill some of the holes that the offense doesn't provide. At number 8, we have the Buffalo Bills, moving up 3 spots. I like their offense. I like how Shady McCoy scored for the first time this year. I had him as my early MVP candidate, but that's obviously not going to happen whatsoever unless he rattles off a 2,000-yard season after his poor start, which is logistically impossible. Tyrod Taylor's playing well. Jordan Matthews, okay. Offensive line, defense carrying them. 4-2 record, really impressive. They're going to start playing more divisional opponents soon, so that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. They're probably due for a drop soon, but they've been playing probably some of the most consistent football out of anybody in the league. They contained Cam Newton in a loss. They contained a lot of PT quarterbacks, a lot of decent quarterbacks. So I'm impressed by them. I have them at number 8 for a good reason. And making the biggest jump slash the biggest change, I guess I should say, the New Orleans Saints at number 7. I have them jumping up 9 spots. Drew Brees, their offense playing like butter, like butter. They've been playing so smooth. Mark Ingram, Kamara, such a great running back duo to watch. They catch, they run. It's beautiful. Drew Brees playing well. Thomas, Snead, that stable of wide receivers playing well, but almost every stable plays well with Drew Brees at quarterback. But their defense, though, really stepping up the last 4 weeks. After starting 0-2, their defense has been possibly the key to winning. They had 3 defensive touchdowns when they faced the Lions, and they come back and make Brett Hundley look foolish. It's kind of an amazing thing to watch that the Saints are where they are in the lead in the NFC South for the first time in a while, I believe, because of a good defense. I don't remember the last time the Saints even had a good defense. Now that's saying something. At number 6, I also struggled with this one a little bit. We have the Kansas City Chiefs dropping 6 spots. The last 2 weeks really concerning. In the first 2 quarters against the Steelers, 10 yards of offense. I only dropped them 1 spot last week after that because I thought it was a 1-week thing. But the undisciplined play on the defense on the last series of plays really concerns me, because if teams know you're going to do that and they see you doing that, they're going to expose you more and more and more. And the inconsistencies on some of the defense, a lot of those defensive players are great. I'm not going to lie. A lot of their players are great. But they have some vulnerabilities, and I believe they're going to be exposed more and more. That does concern me. Kareem Hunt hasn't scored a touchdown in a few weeks. So offensively, it's a little concerning. Travis Kelce was held to, I believe, 3 catches for like 20 yards or 30 yards and a touchdown. So they need to get him the ball more. I just hope they could bounce back. I do. I hope they bounce back. And for the second biggest gain this week, we have the Los Angeles Rams. Sorry, I almost said St. Louis out of habit. Jared Goff playing really well. Todd Gurley proving to be one of the best backs in the league. Their receiver core is solid all around. There's not really a huge weakness there. Their defense is playing great. Aaron Donald's playing great. I believe it's like an infectious attitude that they have. They're getting confident, and the more confident they get, the more dangerous they are. They did lose to the Seattle Seahawks, but they are a young team, so I believe week by week you're going to see a better and better Rams team. So I have them cracking the top 5 for possibly the first time since I've ever really even thought about power rankings. At number 4, we have the Seattle Seahawks. I like what their defense is doing. They're facing a tough Deshaun Watson-led Texans team this week, so I want to see how they can contain that rookie quarterback. Their offense, I like Alex Collins at running back. I wish they'd give him the ball just a little bit more. Russell Wilson's playing okay. Doug Baldwin, although showing a little bit of emotional issues, pushing coaches and stuff like that. I believe he's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. Paul Richardson performing quite well. Jimmy Graham not performing up to snuff as some would expect, but he's providing a solid boost. You also got Luke Wilson, just a slightly underrated tight end, I believe. But their defense carries them like they have for the last few years. They're at number 4. At number 3, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers after a dominating, well, not so much dominating, but it looked like a dominant win against the Chiefs. They performed quite well against the against the Bengals. Antonio Brown playing great. Juju Schuster stepping up. Thing concerns me the most is Martavius Bryant, and how much I know from the past that locker room issues tend to affect the level of play from the Pittsburgh Steelers more than other teams. So I want to see how they bounce back. Do they give Martavius Bryant a bigger role, or do they just move on and give Schuster a bigger role and demote Bryant? Le'Veon Bell playing crazy right now. He has stepped up from his stumbles at the beginning of the year. Their defense has been playing solid, but in the coming weeks they'll face tougher teams like the New England Patriots and stuff like that. So it'll be a true test to see where they currently rank. I believe right now the number 1 and 2 seeds in the AFC would be the Chiefs and Steelers, and due to the tiebreaker, I believe it'd be the Steelers with the number 1 seed. So that right there is quite impressive. At number 2, we have the New England Patriots. I did struggle putting them up here after inconsistent play, but I'm not saying their defense is one of the best in the league. I'm not saying that by far. They never really have been the best in the league. But their defense is playing more consistent, and this is without 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks in Eric Rowe and Stephon Gilmore the last couple of weeks. Maybe that's why they play more consistent, is because they don't have Gilmore, and Gilmore's been playing inconsistent, so it makes the whole unit look inconsistent. But Tom Brady, Gronkowski, and that Patriots offense is, no matter what, week to week, they'll roll out a completely different game plan if they have to, and somehow try to find a way to beat you with it or come close to it. If you look at their losses, a tough loss against the Panthers, they were close. A tough loss to the Chiefs, they weren't close. But that could be more attributed to no one really knew what the Chiefs were going to be like with Kareem Hunt. And the Patriots have so many new players, that is that. But after a tough dominating game against the Atlanta Falcons in the fog, I moved the Patriots up to number 2. Granted, if they play a little bit more inconsistent, I'm going to probably, even if they win, I'm probably drop them a couple spots over the next few weeks. But with that offense, that quarterback, that tight end, it's hard to have them any lower. And at number 1, I don't care who you are, you cannot argue this in the comment section down below. This is the one team you're not allowed to touch. The one team in the league with 1 loss. The 6-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Home of the cheesesteak. Goddamn, I love cheesesteaks. Carson Wentz playing MVP level football, 17 touchdowns. LeGarrette Blount providing that little hammer at the end of the game to just pound teams into submission. That avoided sack he had against the Washington Redskins spoke volumes to the competitive spirit in Carson Wentz. He's playing so well. He has more touchdowns now than he had all his rookie season last year. Jeffrey's playing solid football. Ertz is stepping up at tight end, which I love to see. They did lose a starting offensive lineman, so I will want to see how they handle that void, I should say. Fletcher Cox, one of the best defenders in the league, especially one of the most underrated defenders in the league. Probably top 3 defensive linemen in the league right now. Especially with J.J. Watt out. It would probably be Donald, Cox, and I don't know who would be the third right now. But top 2 right now for me would be Donald and Cox. He's playing great football. Great football. Eagles, number 1, all the way. Even if they lose next week against the Niners, they're definitely dropping. But let's say they lose against the Cowboys, I might still have them at number 1 because they've played amazing football all year. So consistent. 6-1. Give credit where the credit's due. No one's better right now. Thank you for watching my Beer Bros. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I do these videos every single Wednesday, so stay tuned next week for the next update.